This shit get deep in the rap, feeling like they stole my identity. I just be speaking the facts, they want my soul and my energy. And that's crazy. If I call you my bro, you ain't gotta be no kin of me. When it comes to the people of my era, I want smoke. You dig? Whether they active or inactive, I'm telling them, I want smoke. You heard? Don't care about no legendary status, none of that type of shit. None of that shit works on the street, bro. I want smoke in the booth.
It's almost impossible, if you're into hip-hop, to not know Jim Jones. Yes, the same Harlem rapper who helped shape the Dipset movement and carved out his own lane with hits that defined an era. But do you know that recently, he made a shocking claim that sent ripples throughout the rap world? Jim Jones has put $100,000 cash on the line, challenging any rapper from his era to face him in the booth and prove they still have what it takes. No nostalgia acts, no friendly collaborations, just bars, pressure, and pride.
Right now, any one of you
the
niggas,
real person.
Right now. And it ain't a money thing, but this is here, you heard? If you want to get busy, is the money on the line. Any one of y'all from my era. And before my era, you heard? I started in 2003, let's not forget that, let's get it straight.
This isn't a vague internet statement or some clickbait headline. He's literally telling the heavyweights, Jadakiss, Fabulous, Jay-Z, Pusha T, and Styles P, that they can meet him in the same studio, one in the A room, one in the B room, and see who really deserves the crown of their generation. According to Jim, there's no hiding behind the past. He's not interested in how many classics you dropped back in the day or how many awards sit on your shelf. What can you do right now? That's his only question.
I want smoke in the booth. You heard? Who want that? Let's talk about that right now. Who want to meet me in the booth?
What makes this challenge so electrifying is how Jim strips the idea of rap battles down to its rawest form. He's not talking about versus battles or stages filled with guest appearances and choreographed crowd reactions. He wants a pure studio face-off. For Jim, this isn't about rankings or respect. Those things don't cut checks. He's made it clear that he doesn't care about being on someone's top 10 list. The only thing that matters is performance at the moment. Now, if you might think, where is this huge confidence coming from? Let me tell you that Jim Jones believes he's one of the few rappers from his era who's still truly relevant in 2025. He doesn't hold back words about it either. While a lot of rappers who came up during the early 2000s have slowed down or faded into background roles, Jim says he's still moving at full speed. In his own words, most of them are way gone, no longer creating music that hits the charts or connects with a new audience.
Yo, these niggas can't breathe when I come through, hum to some shoes, gotta be 20, man, it's not even funny, they can't.
But he's still here, dropping projects and staying in the conversation, not because of nostalgia, but because of what he's delivering right now. He's proud of his recent catalog, and for good reason. In the past few years, Jim has dropped a run of albums that critics and fans have called his best work yet. From El Capo in 2019, which earned widespread praise for its cohesive production and raw storytelling, to his 2022 collaboration album, We Set the Trends with DJ Drama, Jim has kept his sound evolving while staying authentic.
Where he at? We set the trends. Big F&N when I step out the bench. I got it. My little buzzin' did him and he just beat Trav, did 6, now he fresh out the pen. Now we acting bad.
He's also worked with younger names in the industry, jumping on tracks with artists like Migos and Conway the Machine, proving that he can blend seamlessly with both veterans and rising stars. For Jim, this isn't about living off the past glory of We Fly High or Summer with Miami.
You dig? We fly high, no lie. You know this. Outside, it's like showbiz.
It's about continuing to prove that he can create fresh music that resonates in 2025, almost 2 decades after his debut. What makes his stance even more interesting is how he frames relevance. Jim doesn't believe in leaning on past hits or old accolades. He's constantly asking, what can you do right now? That's the metric he measures himself by, and it's the same challenge he throws at his peers. It's not enough to have a classic album from 2005 if you can't step into the booth today and create something that holds up against the current sound. This mindset separates him from a lot of artists who, in his words, are still stuck in a comfort zone built on old successes. And do you know, a lot of critics don't like his approach of being so proud and raw, but Jim Jones has his own reasons for that. He says straight up, no one fights for me, so I fight for myself. Jim frames himself as a solo warrior, the kind of artist who doesn't wait for validation from the industry, the blogs, or even his peers. He openly admits that he has taken his wins and losses on his own terms, without depending on anyone to back him up. And that's exactly why he moves with such defiance and confidence, because he believes that if he doesn't defend his name, nobody else will. He's also clear about the fact that his boldness isn't some cheap attempt at clout chasing. Jim is known for being fiery and outspoken, but he explains that it comes from being a passionate, emotional artist who wears his heart on his sleeve.
I still got the same passion as you can see. You heard? I'm a passionate brother. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I cry a lot of shit like that. I'm very emotional. So when people talk about me, I gotta stand up for me because nobody else gonna stand up for me, as you see.
He doesn't fit his feelings to fit into a PR-friendly narrative. When someone disrespects him, underestimates him, or tries to downplay his contributions, Jim doesn't stay quiet. He comes back harder, louder, and sharper. This raw energy is why his name continues to pop up in conversations about relevance and competitiveness in hip-hop, even in 2025. What really sets Jim Jones apart is how little he cares about the usual industry rankings or top 10 lists. For him, those lists have never paid his bills. He often says rankings never cut a check, and he means it. Legacy plaques, award shows, or magazine covers don't matter to him if they're not tied to real success and real money.
You heard, there's a lot of people that sold more records than me that are also not around anymore. Been gone. Diamond, 5-time platinum, 4-time platinum, gold artist. I've seen it since 1997. Gone. I'm still here.
Jim's philosophy is simple. If the music isn't paying you or pushing you forward, it's just noise. That's why he prefers to measure his success by his hustle, his current output, and how much demand there still is for his work. But man, literally what is his most controversial approach is the way he talks about Nas, one of the most respected figures in hip-hop history. Jim Jones has never been shy about saying what he thinks, but when he brought Nas into the conversation, it shook a lot of people. And here's the thing, Jim actually grew up idolizing Nas. He was in 11th grade when Nas dropped the legendary verse Live at the Barbecue back in the early 90s. For him, Nas wasn't just another rapper, he was the blueprint. He even admitted that Nas's style, wordplay, and music had a major influence on the way he and his peers carried themselves in the streets of New York. But Jim says that was then. It's 2025 now, and the game has changed. According to him, Nas's wave didn't carry over the way it should have for someone of his status. He even claims Nas didn't finish his mission, suggesting that while Nas was supposed to lead a new generation of rap, his impact hasn't remained strong in the current era. Jim takes it even further by pointing out that many 20 to 22-year-olds today, the kids born around 2003, don't even know Nas's music. He mentions that even his own son can't name a single Nas record, which, in Jim's eyes, proves his point about how generational tastes have shifted. And then comes the part that really fuels debates. Jim Jones flat out asserts that right now, bar for bar, he's a better rapper than Nas. Not in 1994, not in Nas's prime, but in 2025. Jim says he's sharper, hungrier, and more relevant. To him, Nas's catalog, as iconic as it is, belongs to the past, while he's actively creating music that's connecting with the culture today. Jim even calls Nas's catalog old, not as an insult to his quality, but to highlight that Nas isn't shaping the current conversation in the way that Jim believes he is. And now we don't know if he's doing it consciously or unconsciously, but Jim Jones has turned this entire debate into a marketing masterclass. He calls himself a marketing genius, and honestly, he's got a point. He knows that in the current era, saying something bold and controversial online isn't just about starting arguments. It's about staying on everyone's feed, trending on social media, and dominating the algorithm.
Nas and Jim Jones. Let me tell you something, and I'm going to say this accurately. I see where Jim Jones is coming from. Like, I can see him, because if you're looking at the algorithms now, I can see where he's coming from. But you can't take the legendary status that what Illmatic has done, just Illmatic.
According to Jim, every viral moment equals money, because when people talk about him, they stream his music, they watch his interviews, and his brand grows. In his own words, all that equals $1. Jim even claims that his comments about Nas have made Nas more viral than he's been since the legendary Jay-Z feud back in the early 2000s.
What I did for Nas probably never been done for him in his life. He's never been that viral at all, ever. Ever. He's never been talked about like this ever in his life.
Now, has Nas reached out to you?
You did. The last time he was in some shit like this where people were comparing, is when him and Jay was beating on him.
Say that.
You heard? You did? Like,
think about that. Nas is a certified icon. Yet Jim believes that by pulling him into a modern internet debate, he's made Nas part of a conversation with a younger audience who probably wasn't even alive during the Ether versus Takeover days. Jim calls this dragging Nas into a modern algorithm war, where social media feeds decide what's hot and controversy drives everything. The wildest part is that Jim insists he didn't even start this comparison. He says that during an interview in Atlanta, the host brought up Nas's name alongside his, and that's where the whole thing snowballed. Instead of dodging the topic or staying neutral, Jim decided to lean into it, not because he hates Nas, but because he understands the power of owning the narrative. If people are going to talk about it, he wants to control the story and keep the spotlight exactly where he wants it. While other rappers from this era are stuck relying on old hits or anniversary tours, Jim is constantly creating new reasons for people to mention his name, whether they love him or hate him. And that's why, even in 2025, his voice still cuts through the noise. Don't you think so too?